Voltaire, 1694–1778, was a French writer, historian, and philosopher, renowned for his wit, advocacy of civil liberties, and criticism of religious dogma and authoritarianism. Born François-Marie Arouet in Paris, Voltaire adopted his famous pen name as he rose to prominence in the early 18th century. He was educated at a Jesuit college and initially trained as a lawyer, but his outspoken views and sharp satire led him into trouble with French authorities. His early plays and poems, which satirized the French aristocracy and the Catholic Church, made him a popular and controversial figure. In 1717 he was imprisoned in the Bastille for lampooning the French regent, and after his release he spent a period in exile in England. In England, Voltaire was deeply influenced by British thinkers such as John Locke and Isaac Newton, as well as by the more tolerant religious and political environment. His experiences there led him to write the Letters on the English Nation, 1733, a work that praised England's constitutional monarchy and criticized France's absolute monarchy and religious intolerance. This work was banned in France and Voltaire was again forced into exile. Throughout his life, Voltaire wrote in many forms including plays, poems, essays, and historical works, but he is best known for his philosophical writings. His Candide, 1759, a satirical novella, is one of his most famous works. It mocks the optimism of philosophers like Leibniz, who believed that all is for the best in the best of all possible worlds. In Candide, Voltaire depicts a world filled with suffering and foolishness, challenging the idea that the world is perfect or guided by divine providence. Voltaire was a passionate advocate for freedom of speech, religious tolerance, and the separation of church and state. His criticism of the Catholic Church and organized religion, as well as his defense of individual liberties, made him one of the most influential thinkers of the Enlightenment. He famously stated, "I disapprove of what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it," though this quote is often paraphrased. In his later years, Voltaire continued to write and correspond with other Enlightenment thinkers, such as Frederick the Great of Prussia and Catherine the Great of Russia. He lived in semi-exile at his estate in Ferney, near the French-Swiss border, where he remained highly active in intellectual and political life. Voltaire died in 1778, shortly before the outbreak of the French Revolution, which embodied many of the ideas he had championed. His works remain significant for their critique of religious and political authority, as well as their championing of reason, science, and human rights. Voltaire, a French Enlightenment writer, philosopher, and satirist, is known for his wit, defense of civil liberties, and criticism of injustice. Here are some of his most famous quotes and wisdom. 1. "I disapprove of what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it," often attributed to Voltaire, though it's a paraphrase of his ideas about freedom of speech. 2. "Judge a man by his questions rather than by his answers." This emphasizes the importance of curiosity and inquiry in the pursuit of knowledge and truth. 3. "Common sense is not so common." A witty reflection on how rare practical wisdom and rationality can be. 4. "Those who can make you believe absurdities can make you commit atrocities." A warning about the dangers of accepting irrational beliefs without questioning, which can lead to destructive actions. 5. "The best is the enemy of the good." This suggests that perfectionism can hinder progress, as striving for perfection can prevent us from appreciating or achieving what is good enough. 6. "Every man is guilty of all the good he did not do." A reflection on moral responsibility and the consequences of inaction. 7. "It is difficult to free fools from the chains they revere." A critique of blind adherence to dogma, tradition, or authority. 8. "Doubt is not a pleasant condition, but certainty is absurd." Voltaire valued skepticism and believed that questioning established beliefs is essential to intellectual growth. 9. "Work keeps at bay three great evils: boredom, vice, and need." This quote from Candide reflects Voltaire's belief in the importance of productive labor for personal fulfillment and the avoidance of moral decay. 10. "The more I read, the more I acquire, the more certain I am that I know nothing." A statement on the humility that comes with learning, recognizing that knowledge is vast and ever-expanding. Voltaire's ideas contributed greatly to the intellectual currents of the Enlightenment, advocating for reason, freedom, and the questioning of authority.